All right, everybody, I've got my water, I've got my phone for my timer, I've got my chair without wheels. You don't want chairs with wheels. Chairs with wheels are scooters, right? You want solid chair on feet. Good wall space is good for this class as usual. You don't have to have any of that stuff, but we'll make modifications if you don't have an object, then we'll do something different, right? Anyway, shake out the arms, shake out the legs, and let's get warmed up. I usually use light weights in this class, as you guys know, but you can use resistance bands. I don't have resistance bands, so I don't demonstrate with them, but you could use water bottles, cans of soup, anything in a grocery bag, anything willing. All right. And a little trot, just to get the blood flowing. And there we are. All right, settle down. Nice wide feet. Turning the head left and right. A gentle rotation. It's a warm-up, but it's also an inspection, right? We're checking out all the joints to make sure everything feels safe and healthy for movement. So this is a strength and stretch class. We do, I don't know, 90% strength in this class and 10% stretch-ish at the end. We do have a stretching class and we do have a strength class. But this one's a little bit of both. And roll the shoulders up, back, and down. Big shoulder rolls if you can. Remember to unlock the knees. So you don't want to snap the knees back. You want to keep them with a little bit of cushion, better blood flow. Rolling the shoulders. Big rolls if you can. And switch directions, up, forward, and down. Big shoulder rolls, big shoulder rolls. And next, up, sink down at the knees and hips, a little bit of bend in the knees. What we don't want to do is plant the foot and twist the knee. So don't plant the foot and twist the knee. Sink down. We're going to rotate at the spine. Okay, and you can swing the arms around, borrow from Tai Chi and Qigong class. You can borrow from yoga and bring your palms together. But it's not a fast whip and a crack, right? You're not your own chiropractor. It's a slow, steady rotation. There might be little pops and creaks, but that's not the goal. Right? Getting the flow of fluids through the body. All right, I'm going to pause one way. Take a nice deep breath, expand the lungs and the ribs. Exhale and unwind, head to the other side. Pause over there, take a nice deep breath, expand the lungs and the ribs. And unwind. Bring the feet a little bit closer together and circle with the hips. Circle with the hips. Got our hula hoop hips going here. Circle, circle, circle. And switch directions. Circles with the hips. All right, I'm going to call this the soft part of our warm-up. If you're ever in this class later or anything, you want to not skip the warm-up. You got to warm up before you exercise. Warming up is like the primer before you paint, right? It makes it more effective and safer, less risk. Here we go, marching the knees, but it's a low march. What we're doing is activating the hip flexors. And by the way, I can't feel these muscles, right? You don't feel them warm up, but you just know that they are because that's what's engaging to rise with the knee, right? So it's at the top of the quadriceps here, in and down from the pelvic bones, right in the front of the hips, where the hips hinge. Just kind of pedaling the feet. And let's start our aerobic warm-up. Here's jogging in place. Now you're welcome to move around the room if you've got space, but you don't have to, right? You can do this in a tiny closet space if you wanted to. Why would you want to do that? All right, getting moving, getting moving. Raising the heart rate a little bit, getting the oxygen and nutrients to pump through the body, kind of replacing all that stale stuff with new stuff, right? Refresh. Refresh, refresh. This is the reboot. All right, arms come out to the sides, T-shaped arms, like in yoga. Arms come out to the sides, parallel with the ground. All right, point to note for this move and all the future shoulder moves like this, you don't want to bring the hands any higher than the height of the shoulders. We don't want to pinch anything in the shoulder. So here or lower is safer, right? So parallel with the ground. Forward, same thing here. You don't want to come up high. You just want to come up to about parallel with the ground. And that'll be the greatest force against gravity as well as parallel with the ground. So that's good for strength, calorie burn. All right, coming on down, shaking out the arms, and side jacks. Tap the toes out to the sides. The arms are kind of sloppy, right? They're bent at the elbows as opposed to stick straight. You don't need them stick straight. For me, that makes me feel more vulnerable in the shoulders. So I do sloppy side jacks. Just kind of tossing the arms up, right? Just a little bit of movement. It's still a warm-up, right? Make sure we're breathing. You don't want to hold your breath throughout the practice at all, throughout class. I'm breathing. Reminder now to take as many breaks as you need. And the opposite is true as well. If I'm taking a break, which I will call a formal rest break, which happens regularly, if I'm taking a break and you don't want to, you don't have to. You can keep on moving, keep on jogging, get the most out of your hour, your 30 minutes, your 45 minutes, whatever, however much time you're working out. That you can. So you can keep on moving even if I'm not. Take as many breaks as you want, skip an entire move if you need to, or change it entirely. All right, here we are, punching as we step to the sides. We punch forward. And we're almost done with our warm-up here. And high knee pull down. So here's what it looks like. It's a core warm-up. Reach up with the arms. Doesn't have to be this high, but reach up. Pull the elbows down as the knee rises. Pull the elbows down as the knee rises. Squeezing the core each time. I like to exhale as I squeeze the core. Gets a little bit better contraction there. Empties a little more air. You hear me exhale probably. Exhale and squeeze. Exhale and squeeze. And you can go faster. You can go slower throughout the class. And ready, done. All right, shake it out. Warm up. Anything else that you feel like you need to warm up? Pick up the foot, roll the ankle, whatever, turn the head, roll the wrist, all that stuff. Circuit style training. We do 2, 3, or 4 exercises in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4. Could be 2, 3, or 4. And then we repeat those same exercises for a second round. Sometimes we do 3 rounds, but I've found that that gets boring. So I like 2 rounds typically. And I think 3 moves is typically the sweet spot. But we fluctuate just to keep things interesting and to make sense of certain moves. So we'll aim for 3, sometimes do 2 or 4. The first move today, as usual, is the plank. We've got 3 different versions or so that we do. This is to prime the core, okay? So it's a strength and calorie burn exercise, but it's also still part of the, it's where the warm-up becomes the workout. So keep the core nice and tight, spine is straight. I like to do this with my hands on the edge of a chair. Remember, the chair should not have wheels. Nice tight core, fairly straight line from the heels, hips, shoulders, and ears. But you could also do this on the floor. Nice tight core from the heels, hips, shoulders, and ears. Eyes looking down on the floor. Or you could do this at a wall. Fairly straight line from the heels, hips, shoulders, and ears. I mean, you could also hold on to a table or a countertop or a door, as long as nobody's going to come through the door. So do the version that works for you. I'm going to start a timer. You don't have to last the whole time. You're welcome to strive for it, right? We usually say fight through fatigue, but don't push through pain. If it's becoming too much, back off, right? Give yourself some grace there. Here's our 55-second timer. Like I said, my favorite is at the chair, so I'm going to do the chair version. Nice tight core, squeezing, and breathing. While we're here, Remember to take as much time as you need in between each exercise to get there, right? Safety is the utmost necessity here, so don't rush to the next exercise. And if I'm jabbering too much, talking too much during the next exercise, you can get a move on with it, right? You don't have to wait for me to start the timer. There's no magic to the 55 seconds we're doing. Squeeze the core, fairly straight line. If you bring your bottom up, it'll be a slightly less effective move, but it won't be unsafe. It'll be fine. If you droop down at the waist, you don't want to do that, right? You want to avoid drooping down straight or up a little bit. Is better. Okay, coming out of that, shaking out the arms, shaking out the legs. The next one will be a glute move, okay? So nice vertical spine, unlock the knees a little bit. Nice tight core for a good straight spine. The right leg comes out and down. Then the left leg comes out and down. The height of the leg is not critical here. It's more about the pace. You want to go slow so that you're not swinging with a bunch of mechanical leverage. You're not using a bunch of momentum to your advantage or caloric disadvantage, I guess, technically, because you're not burning calories if you're just swinging. Okay? I like to hold onto a wall for this. It keeps my spine more vertical so that I'm not tipping left and right. And I'll get our timer started here. You're welcome to stand behind a chair. Nice tight core. Right and left, left and right. Squeezing the glutes nice and slow. And you can go slower than me. You can go super slow. If you want to go snail pace, that's fine. That's not easier. Tell you what, I think it's harder. Again, keep going there. You could be behind a chair. You might have to tip forward a little bit. Still want to keep a nice tight core. And we've got 25 seconds left. Squeezing the core, squeezing the core, squeezing the glutes, squeezing the glutes. Our next move will be an arms move, arm-based move. It'll be very similar. So this is hip abduction. Our next move will be shoulder abduction, or tease. There's our timer. I'm going to set this chair aside. Here's the move. Grab some weights. If you have light weights, that would be good. If you don't, that's okay. You can get a good workout without any weights. Unlock the knees. Arms come out to the sides, no higher than the height of the shoulders. So not up here, right? Here or lower. Partial range of motion is great for these shoulder moves. So you've got less risk and hardly any decrease in efficiency of the actual move. So I'm going to get my lighter weights because shoulders tend to be, I'm not going to say weaker, but it's a longer lever, right? It's a longer arm, so it's harder to lift heavy weights. Here's our timer. And shoulders back. Pull the shoulder blades down. We don't want to shrug them up toward the ears. Down, down, down. Unlock the knees. Nice tight core. Arms out to the sides. And down. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see my knees are bent just a little bit. Breathing. Make sure we're breathing. You don't want to be moving around and turning, by the way. You kind of be in one spot. A little bit of space in between the feet and in between the knees. A little bit of air there. So they're not buckling at the knees, right? There should be space in there. So this is move number 3 out of 3. We're going to move back to move number 1, which is our plank after this. I hear our timer. Let me set these down against the wall or just totally out of the way. You want them totally out of the way so they are not a tripping hazard. You can get to whatever plank you liked the best. I did the chair version before. You can do the wall if you like, nice tight core, or even the floor. Another option with this plank stuff is you can march the knees if you feel like you want to do that, and exhale as you march the knees to get a better abdominal contraction. I'm going to get to the floor this time and try that one out. Here's our 55-second timer. So again, fairly straight line. You want to keep your chin tucked back so that your neck is in a good line. And I should be down on the floor, down on the chair, or down on the wall, whichever one you're touching basically with your hands. That's what you want to look down at. You don't want to look to the side at knee or at a mirror. Anything where your scapula move, anything where your back can, your shoulders move around. Kind of risks some neck pinching and injury stuff there when we turn our neck. So we want to avoid turning the neck if you're moving your shoulders. Squeezing the core, give it a nice good exhale. Take a break if you need it. You can come down to your knees if you need a break, or push your bottom up in the air a little bit. Both are fine. Just don't droop down at the waist. All right, there's our timer. Come up slow and steady. Take your time coming up. You don't want to get dizzy. Next move, move number 2, lateral leg raises. Go slow, hold onto a wall, hold onto a chair. Here's our timer. I'll go ahead and hold onto a chair. So remember, we don't want to tip left and right, but hinging forward just a smidge is okay, right? If you need to hinge forward in order to reach the back of your chair. Chairs are not that stable though. I mean, this thing wants to go all over the place, so the walls are a little bit better, I think, usually. Use what you have. Do the best you can. Slow it down for the glutes. Breathing. All right, this is move number 2 out of 3. We've got 1 left in this circuit in round 2, and we'll do a formal rest break. Join me for the rest if you like. Shoulders are after this. Shoulder abduction. Here we go. I'm gonna set my chair aside. I'm gonna get my weights are right there. So here's our timer. Okay. Shoulders back, chest up. Unlock the knees and arms come out no higher than the height of the shoulders. Pulling the shoulder blades down. Breathing. Eyes forward, chin tucked back. Another option is if you're feeling pretty strong or if your weights are feeling pretty light, you could do an isometric hold like this, right? The video didn't freeze. My arms did though. So they're out to the side for any period of time that you prefer. That can sometimes be better on joints. If you've got arthritis or pain, a little bit less movement, but still a lot of resistance. Isometric hold, if you like. Here comes our break. And there's our timer. Okay. I'm going to set these down. Get a drink of water if you're ready for a break. If you want to keep on moving, keep jogging and keep doing the 3 moves that we've been doing. Those are fine. All right, friends. Next up, nice tight core. And this is called a pivot squat. So facing forward, I'm facing you, right? I'm going to bring my right foot back and squat down, step forward. Left foot back, squat down, and step forward. It's opening up at the hips a little bit, and it does not need to be a perfect 90-degree angle, right? I might just barely come out, but you're pivoting a smidge at least, okay? Don't have to squat low. If your knees or hips are bugging you, you can just tap, tap. You might want to squeeze the arms, the abdominals. If you're trying to burn as many calories as possible, use as much energy as possible, right? Here's our timer. Timer's going. So stepping back, squatting down. Shoulders should be back. You can push your bottom back and kind of hinge at the hips as you squat. I like to keep my arms forward. That'll help to keep the spine fairly vertical, although it doesn't have to be straight up and down. It's just more about keeping it straight-ish. Okay? You don't want to round the back. You don't want to do this. Don't round and look down toward the ground. Okay? Instead, shoulders back, chest up. Depth of the squat is entirely up to you. Speed of the squat is entirely up to you. All right, next up, I'm going to do alternating biceps curls. Left and right. So for this next move, get a weight that's appropriate for you. If it feels too easy, try to pack on more weight somehow. Either pick them, get more weights at your home, or, which is not always affordable, right? What is usually affordable is groceries, grocery bags. Just stick cans of soup. I usually use cans of coconut milk. I don't know why I make so much with coconut milk, but that's what I do. So stick those into a grocery bag, and then we can curl those instead. If you don't have the equipment, that's fine. Here's our timer, and curling left and right. So I like to do 1 foot forward, curling left, down, curling right, down. Now, if it doesn't feel like that much weight to you, you might be able to do these alternating like this, where when one is on its way up, the other one is on its way down. You'll get twice as many repetitions in that way. The other thing is keep the chin tucked back, eyes straight forward. This is one of those moves where you can hurt your neck if you're turning left and right. Okay? I like to have 1 foot forward for front to back stability, but some people do stand side to side with their feet. And avoid swinging and swaying. Breathing. Make sure we're breathing. Go slow and steady, especially if it feels heavy. All right. And maybe the timer. Shake out the arms, shake out the legs. Another leg move here. Okay, this one is a bent over glute raise or glute extension. So a couple of options. You can be at a wall, hands on the wall, hinge forward. Squeeze the glutes as the leg raises back, alternating side to side. You could have your hands and knees on the ground, creating a fairly straight line with your leg and spine. Now, I'm saying fairly straight because I'm not a stickler on that stuff. Right? Do what feels good to your body. If it doesn't feel good to be perfectly straight, then don't do that. All right, holding onto this chair. Here's another option. Notice my back is pretty straight. Okay, I'm not trying to round at the back. Shoulder blades are back. Squeeze the glutes. So you choose the version that works for you. I'm going to stick with the chair. I like that one. And here's our timer. Whichever foot is on the ground, that associated knee should be bent just a little bit. Okay, so if my left leg is down, I got a little bend in that knee. My right leg is down, I got a little bend in that knee. It's not locked out, right? Better blood flow, better on the joints. Not creating tension in the soft tissues. It's not a stretch, right? It's a glute raise, glute extension, hip extension. All right. Coming on up, shake out the arms, shake out the legs. Next up, this is arm move. This is move number 4 out of 4 in this circuit. Remember, sometimes we do 4, sometimes we do 3, sometimes we do 2. So for this shoulder move and leg move, it's a little bit of both. We're going to sink down at the knees and hips, stand and press. Sink down, stand and press. So it's a squat, press, but you don't have to squat very deep, right? You decide on the depth. If you want to squat down to your knees, that's fine. But if you want to do like an 1/8 of a squat and just kind of use a little bit of oomph from the legs, that's great as well. Okay? I like nice wide feet for this one. Gives you good base of support and a little bit more ability to squat deeper if you want. I'm going to get my lighter weights because we're starting to get fatigued, or at least I am. Here's our timer. Weights up at the shoulders. Nice wide feet. Sink and press. Now this ceiling is borderline too short for me. I'm doing okay here, but I promise I'm not 7 feet tall. It's a short ceiling. You want to go down with control and up with control. All right, don't get too springy. Slow and steady. Again, these could be very shallow movements. I like to bring my elbows out just slightly, maybe 45 degrees. That feels like the safest shoulder movement for me. And there's our final repetition. All right. Setting these down, out of the way. Shaking out the arms, shaking out the leg. Brief breather. And here we go. We got a pivot squat next. I don't use any weights for this. Toes are forward. This is our first move in our 4-move circuit. Right foot steps back, squat, return, left foot steps back, squat. Does not need to be that fast, it's just demonstration. Here's our timer. And I'm gonna go kind of shallow on this round. So we just did that squat press. So I'm gonna go a little bit shallower. This is just to keep the heart rate going. Keep the heart rate up a little bit. After this, we're back to that alternating biceps curl. So by the way, I want to be clear. I'm not saying you have to go out and buy weights. Right? I'm saying if it feels too easy for you, you might need to make it harder in some way, shape, or form. Right? I'm a big, I am pro saving money and not buying every single item that you possibly can. Like these ones that I use, I found on the side of the street with a free sticker on them. So, how about that for saving money? All right, shaking out the arms, shaking out the legs. Okay, alternating bicep curls. So, curl left and right. Try to grab a weight that's challenging for you. Shoulder blades back. Again, if it's really, really heavy, go super slow. Also, you can alternate like this. Instead of both happening at the same time, one up and one down, one can go up and down, and the other one up and down. Here's our timer. Okay, so my weight last time was kind of a lot for me, so I'm going to reduce that weight. 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. I had my right foot forward last time, I think, so I'm alternating to my left foot for some stabilization symmetry. Right? Basically, that just means standing with 1 foot forward means you should eventually stand with the other foot forward, so that your balance is symmetrical. It's fine with me if you want to do a hammer curl where the weights are vertical the whole way, like you're trying to swing a hammer, like this. And it's also okay if you want to supinate, where your palm turns up and the weights become horizontal at the top. I kind of like those. A little bit more contraction on the biceps that way, I believe. And there's our timer. I like to get both sides in evenly. I'm going to set those down. I'm sorry for my annoying timer. All right. Shake it out. All right, glute hip extensions. I did the chair version last time, so I'm going to come over to the wall this time. You can also use the floor if you like that version. Here's our timer. Nice tight core, hinge forward, and squeeze the glutes as the leg kicks back. Want your eyes down on the wall a little bit, or down on the floor if you're at the floor, or down on the chair if you're at the chair. And I'm going to slow it down and really get an intentional muscle contraction here. Breathing. Squeeze the glutes. Squeeze the glutes. All right, the move after this is the squat press. It's a compound movement. There's our timer. Shake out the arms, shake out the legs, friends. All right, nice wide feet. Get weights if you would like. Weights up at the shoulders, sink down, and press up. Again, I don't really like my elbows straight forward or all the way out at the sides. I like mine about a diagonal, 45-degree-ish angle. Not forward, not out. a little bit out. That's my preference, right? That's what I've learned is best for me. If you've got a different angle that works for you, then do that different angle. I'm gonna get my light weights here. Shoulders back, chest up, weights up at the shoulders, sinking down, and press. Remember, if there's a move you just simply don't like, skip it. Skip it, skip it, skip it. Go on to something else that you do enjoy, that you feel is very effective for yourself. If you need more breaks than I'm given, take more breaks. Okay, I'm going to do partial range of motion here for a second. Turn for another view. Breathing. Good work today, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well, feeling well, resting well, being good to yourselves. And there's our timer. All right, I'm going to set these aside. Shake out the arms, shake out the legs. And this is time for a formal rest break. So I'm going to get a sip of water here. I hope your water is colder than mine. I'm drinking lukewarm tea. I lost my water upstairs. All right. Shaking out the arms, shaking out the legs. And this will be our last circuit before stretching a little bit. Okay. Move number 1. Okay, this move, great for getting the heart rate up. I'm going to move my chair over here because I might use it. But let me show you the move first. Tipping and kicking. So I tip left and kick right. Tip right and kick left. Now you don't have to kick that high, right? You could even kick all the way down through your toes tapping on the ground. You could go somewhere in between, right? That's fine. Higher is fine. Whatever your balance allows for. I usually recommend, and I hope people do this, holding onto a wall for stability, right? It's not a balance class. We're not trying to challenge our balance to the utmost degree. I'd rather just burn as many calories as I can safely. So I'm going to hold onto a wall, tip and kick. If you want to do even more for yourself, you can add a squat. So tip and kick as you land, add a squat. Tip and kick, add a squat. Tip and kick, add a squat. Okay, there's the move. You are always welcome to get ahead of me. You don't have to wait for the timer, but here it is. Here's our timer. So I left the chair there on purpose because I'm going to grab it here and demonstrate. You don't have to hold onto a wall. You could hold on to a chair. So just know the chair is more likely to tip, right? See that it wobbles, right? It's just there for just a smidge of a spotter. Nice tight core. Doesn't have to be a deep squat. Shouldn't be a hard landing squat either. Just be a nice, light, silent, ease it down. Toe. All right, the next move is going to be a core move, abdominals, marching and pushing down with your hands. So you're marching against your own resistance on the next move. Shake out the arms, shake out the legs. You're welcome to get started if you know the move. Here it is. Shoulders back nice and tall. As your knee rises, push down with your hands. Okay. I like to exhale to really get a lot of force in the core as I rise with the knees. I also like this move in a chair. A lot of the time chair moves are like, oh no, that's the easy version. Not with this one. Your knees are already, sorry, your hips are already in flexion, so to raise them anymore is a lot. So rise with the knees as you push down against you're basically fighting your own resistance. Here we are with our timer. Great work today, everybody. This is our move number 2 out of 3 for this circuit. Round number 1 out of 2. The final move is, it's a doozy, I think. And you can break it down into little pieces, but it's a narrow squat lateral arm raise. Okay, so really focus on this move though. Don't get too ahead of yourself. I just like to give you the next one as it comes. This one, squeezing the core, pushing down against the leg. You can go much slower and get a nice full contraction. Doesn't look like much, but your intentionality will make it much. Okay, coming up out of that, here's the move with some variations. Narrow squat means the feet are close-ish together. They're not touching though, okay? Knees, same thing, not touching. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see this. Sink down at the knees and hips. When we stand tall, the arms come out to the sides. This is the same as before. We did the T-shaped arms, shoulder abduction. It's for the deltoids. But you get to use your legs as just a little bit of extra oomph to get the weights up. Now, you want to have a weight that you can control entirely with your arms, but your legs just happen to get to help a little bit in this end move, okay? This isn't about putting on a ton of muscle at the end here. It's about burning more calories as we get more fatigued. So toes are forward, sink down, swing out. The height of the shoulders is very important. Don't come higher than the height of the shoulder. Come lower, if anything. So partial range of motion is great. I'm going to get started here. And here's our timer. I like light weights myself for this move. Shoulders back, shoulder blades down. Sink at the knees and hips. Come on out. Sink down. Come on out. Make sure we're breathing the whole time. So I'm going slow enough to where there's really not a lot of momentum, but I can tell that my legs are helping us a little bit. Good work, good work. So as we rise and fall and rise and fall and rise and fall with our heart rates, we're doing interval training, right? It's going to help to promote EPOC, excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, which basically means we're not just burning fat now, we're burning fat later because our muscles, our engines are building throughout the workout and throughout the day. All right, setting our weights down. Shake it out. Breathing, breathing, breathing. And move number one in this circuit, in this series, tipping and kicking. Add a squat if you like. Here we go, my friends. I'm going to face a wall here. The height of the kick is not critical. I try not to extend my knee all the way. I'm not trying to strain a hamstring. All right, probably gets 80 or 90% straight and then stops. It's not the hardest kick ever. It's not the kick of a lifetime. But I am squeezing the muscles. Squatting is optional. It's all optional. Nice, slow, controlled descent down. All right, marching against your own resistance is next. Heart rate's up a little bit. Shake out the arms, shake out the legs. The knee rises, and you push down with your hands. Here's our timer. Pushing down as the knees rise. Breathing. Hope you guys are having a good day. Hope you guys are ready for the rest of your day. Good work. Good work. I love starting off with this type of stuff in my day. I love starting with exercise. I mean, you can exercise late too, but I love starting with exercise because then even if things go wrong in the day, hey, at least I did something for me. At least I did something for myself, right? Squeeze the core as the legs rise. All right, and Narrow squat with the lateral arm raise, okay? Don't let the knees buckle in, right? Keep them supporting themselves, not each other. Shoulder blades back. You can hinge at the hips as you sink, but you don't want to hunch at the back. You don't want to round the back. Keep the shoulder blades back. And here we go. I'm going to set it for, oh, whatever. An extra 4 seconds. That's how fast it is, whatever. All right, timer's going. Silly. I tried to go to a minute and a half and it just doesn't want to scroll right now, so we've been gifted 31 less seconds. Lateral arm raise, sink at the knees and hips. Squeeze the shoulder blades back. Partial range of motion is absolutely fine here, especially if your weights feel like a lot for you right now. Right, that decreases risk of injury, but it doesn't really decrease the effectiveness all that much, so why not bring it down a little? Deep squat if you feel like it. You've got the energy, go for it. Good work. Fight through fatigue, but don't push through pain. We're almost there. Final move, and then we stretch. And there's our timer. All right, friends. I'm going to set those aside. I'll probably use my chair a little bit for a stretch, not the whole time. Great, great work. Shake out the arms, shake out the legs. So this is a strength and stretch class. The other strength classes that I'll be recording that are not strength and stretch, they're just strength, will be longer as far as endurance goes, and probably burn more calories too, because we spend more of the time doing those things that we just did, right? So those classes I'm going to record as well. Shake out the arms, shake out the legs. Turn the head left and right. So this is a recovery stretch. It's not to increase your mobility or overall range of motion. It's to get the muscles to recover, which means go like 50, 60, 70% most as far as intensity goes. Don't try to rip through anything. Don't try to stretch as far as you possibly can. This is a recovery stretch. Okay? Eyes forward, shrug and roll the shoulders back. Rolling up and back. And switch directions. Sure to bend the knees every once in a while. All right, I'm going to look down toward the ground with my nose pointed down. A little bit of tension in the back of my neck. And I'm just going to rock to the right over my right hip, maybe 45 degrees right. Back to the center, and then maybe 45 degrees left over my left hip. Just a slow, steady pendulum. Breathe in. Both ways. Now you're welcome to pause at one side if you'd like to, but then you want to do the same thing to the other side, even if it doesn't feel like it needs it. You want to get both sides. If you've done one, do the other. Come on up, slow and steady, rolling up with each vertebrae. Shrug the shoulders a few times. All right. Next up, right arm comes across. Now this move does not feel like a stretch to a lot of people. A lot of people are not that tight in the lateral deltoid. Okay, when people say they have tight shoulders, they're usually talking about their traps up here. The lateral deltoid, not often tight. It's often hypermobile, right? Shoulder joints are usually moving too much and getting hurt from moving too much. So if you don't feel this, that's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm going to hold my arm here, and then I'm just going to turn my upper body to the left, in and out of tension. If you feel it, then great. If you don't, oh well, that's okay. If you feel pinching pain, pull your arm lower, and that might feel a little bit better. If you don't feel the pinching pain, then come on up and across. And I'm going to switch sides. Arm comes across. So even if you don't feel the tension, it's still good to do. It's still recovery, stretch appropriate. You don't have to feel it for it to be effective in improving recovery. It's funny. It sounds counter to what I just said, but you want to aim to feel stretches, but you don't necessarily have to feel them. How about that? Okay, come on out of it. Roll the shoulders. Next up, for the rhomboids and middle traps in here, between the shoulder blade and the spine. Shoulder blade and the spine. Okay, so we're talking mid-back area. Those muscles are responsible for pulling the shoulder blades back. So to stretch them, I'm going to clasp my hands together and push across the body. Back to the center, across the body. Center, across. Center, across. I'm pushing across. Okay? And I do have to be intentional about kind of rounding my shoulders here, right? Which you don't want to do all day, but to do this controlled stretch, it's fine. Clasping, push across. So let me just show you from the side. When I push across, it pulls my shoulder over and across the body. And if you're just gentle about shaking maracas, it might not feel like anything at all, right? You got to kind of extend the arms. All right, roll the shoulders again. I know it's a lot of shoulder rolling. For the lats, nice wide feet, sink down, hands are center, and we come up and out at a diagonal. Down to the center, up and out at a diagonal. And I feel it in my lats a little bit, but that's because I'm sore from yesterday. Usually after a workout like this, your blood is pumped so much through your body, you're very malleable, right? You're extra stretchy. You're primed for stretching. So you don't necessarily feel the stretches unless you're already sore, like I am today. Come up and out. Now, if you come to a 100% stretch class where we haven't done, 30, 40 minutes of heart rate activity, I bet you'll feel a stretch even more, even doing the same stretches, because you're less warmed up. All right. Slowing it down, up to the right, slow it down, up to the left. Doesn't matter what side you're on. Roll the shoulders back. Okay. Coming down to the lower body, I'm going to skip past a few things and then get to the hamstrings here. I like to hold on to a chair or a wall or both for this hamstring swing. Unlock the knees a little cushion in the legs. Heel down, toe up, heel down, toe up. And it's not about getting as far as you can, right? This is not a big, high cheerleader toe touch, okay? I cheated there. I look like I'm super stretchy, but I'm not. I had a really bad knee. But anyway, you're not trying to get your leg as high as possible. It's just about getting a little bit of tension. Emphasis on a little bit as your leg rises. Okay, keep going there if that's working for you. Holding onto a wall. I'm going to show you an alternative in a chair here in a second. But you can keep going if this works for you. If this feels like, yep, I'm definitely getting a stretch, then stick with it. Here's the alternative in a chair. Sitting down at the edge of your chair so that you can get your hands underneath your leg. You want to get your hands under your leg so that you can help pick your knee up and then extend the leg. Pick your knee up and then extend the leg. And I know you can probably pick your knee up without your hands, but we don't want to overexert the hip flexors. So come on up and extend. Come on up and extend. If you feel tension, great. I feel like most people, for this one, unlike the shoulders, unlike the deltoids, most people will find tension in their hamstrings, warmed up or not. Most people. If your legs lock out, as in your knee goes perfectly straight, like this, and you're not finding tension, your leg's probably too low, right? Your knee's probably too low. There's no way I could get my leg this straight with my knee up here, for example. Like way up, oh, I guess it goes here. Anyway, there's no way I can get my leg that straight, and that's because the hamstrings cross two joints, the hips and the knees. So if I bring my knee up, there's no way my leg's gonna get perfectly straight. That's okay though. It's not a joint mobility exercise. It's a soft tissue, elasticity, muscle recovery exercise. There's just a little bit of tension with the knees up high. what we're looking for. If that didn't make sense, ask me about it later. I'd love to tell you more. And I love the alternating because then I don't have to count in order to be pretty symmetrical on both sides. All right, shaking out the legs a little bit. This next stretch in a chair is a glute stretch, but it's not an active stretch. All these stretches that we've been doing have been active or dynamic stretches where it's like a rubber band. You move in and out of tension, right? In and out of tension. This one is static. So you sit back, cross the leg over, and hug the knee toward your body. You can also pull the leg across a little bit more and get more tension out of the hips if that's comfortable enough for you. Okay, so if you need more tension anyway. This is my left leg that I'm stretching, so I'm going to pull it toward the right, stretching my left glutes. If it were my right leg, hug it back, and if that's not enough, pull it over to the left. Okay, this is my right glutes, pulling it over to the left. That way. I don't have a good standing glute stretch for you. I have some, but I'm going to say they're not good because they increase the risk of falls, and they're not better stretches, so the floor is better. So I'm going to get to the floor really quick. I'm not going to do a lot on the floor. This is just one quick stretch. Cross the leg over, give it a hug. You can turn toward the leg that you're stretching, my right hips, for example. Nice thing with the floor is you can usually lean back a little bit more, so if you need to lean back in order to get your leg over the other, the floor, if you can get down to the floor, is more accessible. If the floor is not something that you can get down to and get back up off of, something you can't, a couch or a bed might be a good way to do this. You can just lay up on that, and then that would be easier to get up off of. Okay, so crossing the leg, pull it across. Keep going there if those stretches work for you, or if you're in a chair, then that's fine. I'm going to get up, and we're almost done. So spend more time with it if you need to. Next up, hip flexors. Hip flexors, hip flexors. This is going to be my last one here, guys. 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. My toes are facing the same direction, so they're parallel. My back toe is not out like a yoga warrior pose, right? Toes are forward, and it's about a stride length. Okay, it's not as far as I possibly can reach. That won't allow us to get the best stretch. Just a simple stride reach. 3 cues here. Tuck the tail, squeeze the glutes, and then push the hips forward. The muscles that we're stretching are right here in front of the hips, associated with the backmost foot. So this is my right foot back, so I'm stretching the front of my right hips. Squeezing the glutes, tuck the tail, squeeze the glutes, and push the hips forward. Now you can kind of go in and out of tension there with that front knee bending and extending a little bit, kind of rocking forward and back. While you do that, I'm going to explain the tuck the tail. If you flare the tail, that means up with the tail, you're shortening those muscles in the front. So we want to lengthen the muscles by tucking the tail, squeezing the glutes makes it a little more intense, pushing the hips forward makes it a little more intense. Okay. To come out of it, hinge forward, step forward, and switch sides. Okay. Remember, it does not need to be a big, long stride. If it's a long stride that you take, you won't be able to tuck the tail. I don't know how you can do that. I can't move my hips at all when my leg is really far back. So just a little ways. Tuck, squeeze, push forward. Add a little bounce. Good work, good work. All right, there's plenty more to stretch if you need to. There's calves, there's adductors of the inner leg. There's tons of muscles that we did, but there are more stretches that you can do. Kind of reserving some of those for the full-length stretch class, the 45-minute stretch class that I teach. So let me know if you are interested in those. Yeah. These are the good ones for recovering from what we just did, right? Getting the muscles to kind of replenish, refuel, get all the stale stuff out, and leave room for dense nutrients and oxygen and all that to heal the muscles. All right. Bottom back, step forward, Come on up. March the knees just a little bit. Anytime you stretch something, you lengthen it. We want to return it to a good length-tension relationship, whatever a natural feel is for you. So shake things out, roll the shoulders. Great recovery. All right, everybody. Good workout. And I'm going to see you next time. All right, everybody, one last thing. I think that this is the best place probably for me to store these videos, at least for now, while I'm going to be helping to take care of my mom while she recovers, but also for things like holidays when I'm not able to teach live classes. But anyway, so thank you guys so much, and if you want to see when I post more videos like this, you might hit the subscribe button, but otherwise I send these videos out to you guys if you're requesting them to your emails, so you don't like have to hit the subscribe button. Doesn't matter to me. But thank you guys so much. I just hope that this can be something that you guys can access when I'm not available to do live classes. Yeah, so until next time, I'll see some of you guys live, and some of you guys will see me on here. All right, bye-bye.